Hey you, hope you're well. Today I am dressed up because Halloween. It's officially Halloween time. Halloween videos are starting, okay? Look, there's lots of spooky things to talk about and I'm gonna do it because content. I wanted to talk about my favorite horror films. I freaking love horror films. They are my favorite genre of film, hands down. That's it. No questions. I don't mean to exaggerate, but I have legitimately watched over 70% of all horror films that have come out since the year 2000. Like, I scour the internet for them. I very legally and not illegally at all procure so many, and then Netflix allowed me to go even further back in time, and I just watch a lot of horror films. So I thought that I would talk you through my favorite types of horror film and my recommendations for each type. I'm gonna start with the general recommendations. These don't fit into any particular type, they are just my favorite horror films that are just very, very good. As a bisexual person, I feel like it is my duty to start with our Lord and Savior, the Babadook. I'm kidding, but I love that meme. I think The Babadook was an incredible film. There's something about it that it creates the right kind of building tension, and it's weird in a way that sits funny with you, and that's what makes you like spooked, and you don't know why, but you just don't feel right. And that is the feeling that I am there for horror films. Like, that is what I want them to make me feel. Another kind of recent horror film that has been really good as well is The Witch. That is solid fucking horror film quality, yes. Anything with like supernatural, but not like out there zombies, aliens in your face kind of thing. Like, I like there to be like an undercurrent of something unexplainable or non-scientific, I guess. By the way, The Babadook is available on Netflix, The Witch isn't. As I go, I'm gonna say which ones are and aren't available on Netflix, and that is how I'm gonna list them below so that you can go and binge. Then we have a couple of classics. I can't not mention Blair Witch Project. I personally think it's very good. I like found footage style films. I think there is something terrifying about handycam, especially now that we see our world through cameras a lot more. It becomes more and more ubiquitous and realistic to have a horror film like this. I think Blair Witch has done well, and although Blair Witch Project isn't on Netflix, The Blair Witch, which is, I think some kids making a documentary about Blair Witch Project the film, so something like that. It's a bit of like a kind of remake, not really remake, just a different take of it. Not really a sequel. Anyway, Blair Witch is on Netflix, and I actually really enjoyed that too. I thought that there's some scenes particularly that really, I don't know, you know, like when you kind of get like that chest press crushy feeling where you're like, I got it with that. It was very good. Another kind of classic is The Ring. The Ring 2 is okay, but my favorite is still the first. I think it is just such a good, solid horror film, fantastic concept. No one had thought of it before that I know of, and it really gets to the point. It makes you scared and it makes you feel out of control. Things that have to do with time ticking by and it just being inevitable are very powerful, I think, in the horror genre, and I really enjoy The Ring. Another kind of slightly older one is American Psycho. It's maybe not exactly a horror film, it's like a gory thriller, but that tends to make it fall into horror a lot of the times. But I think some of the scenes in that and the dialogue, I mean, I read the book and I thought the book was incredible too, but the dialogue specifically is so like chilling, and oh yeah, I really like it. So that's it for my sort of general recommendations. Let's delve into some categories. So the categories that I'm going to talk about are children, series or franchises, older films, and films that aren't really horror, but I would still put them in this kind of recommendation. Let's start with films with spooky kids, my freaking favorite. Nothing beats a creepy child. Like, it's just terrifying. There's something about the fact that children do have this like sense of innocence and do weird shit like as kids anyway, that when you mix it with horror, it just gets so freaking creepy. And of course, I want to be terrified of my children in the future, so it's really handy that I'm getting all the training in now. One of the first films with a creepy child that I ever watched was Orphan. Not The Orphanage, which is also, by the way, very good, and I would recommend it, but Orphan. Orphan is underrated. I hardly hear anyone talk about it. I think it's a fantastic film. I think the child actor in it is so good. It plays with all the classic fears, not believing. Oh, there's a deaf child, which brings like, yes, just go watch it. It's not on Netflix. But one that is on Netflix and also has an incredible child actor and is also kind of in a similar vein is Case 39. And it's got Renee Zellweger, I don't know how to pronounce her surname, but her, and just that film, very, very fucking good. To me, Orphan was the best child horror film until Case 39 came along. So good. Another very, very good horror film with kids is Mama, which is also on Netflix. That one is a bit more supernatural than what I usually like, but terrifying, fantastic, weird kid actors and weird dynamics, and just, I'm just thinking about it. It is good. That is a good film. Lastly, The Omen. I think the original Omen is on Netflix, but the new one isn't, but it's very good and it's totally worth going to seek it out. Possessed child, classic thing. I mean, I think there's something creepy about possessed girls. Personally, I go with that more, but this is a very good example of creepy child as a boy that is very well done. Series, franchises, holy shit. I used to be so big into the Saw franchise. It was probably the gateway drug that got me into horror films. It's one of the first things I remember seeing, and I still think the first Saw film is a masterpiece. I think it's incredible. I really, really, really enjoy what they did there. And the plot twists that the franchise in itself had were quite good. I just think the format got very, very repetitive. Even if the traps were very creative, it still got a little bit... My favourite trap, if I have to say it, there's loads of very good ones. I really enjoyed the Saw film, and I don't remember which one it was, where, spoilers, they were all supposed to cooperate, but instead they killed a person off and then by the end they couldn't do it. Oh, that was just such a good one. I really enjoyed how they did that one. Another one that has multiple parts, I wouldn't call it so much of a franchise, but it's The Conjuring. The first The Conjuring is the one that I would recommend, #1, absolutely fantastic. But Conjuring 2 and 3 are also very good. I think 3 is out. I think I watched it. Yeah, no, The Conjuring 1 though is very, I really enjoyed it. I think it's very good, but the series is worth watching in general. And of course, how could I not talk about Paranormal Activity? It is less of a horror side of things, but it's still very creepy, lots of really good ambience and build up. I really like how they thread it through, like how they connect the different films, how they can have quite different formats but with some like hallmark items, and I really, really enjoy Paranormal Activity. I think it's a very, very good series. I think the one I enjoyed the least was the marked ones, but all the other ones are very good. They are all on Netflix, or most on Netflix. There's like 4 or 5 of them on Netflix, so there's plenty there. And not my favourite series, but I feel like one of them really deserves a mention, The Human Centipede. I thought the first one was okay, and the third one I didn't enjoy, but the second one I think is an incredible premise for a film. Spoilers, if you haven't seen it, Human Centipede 2 is about somebody who watches Human Centipede and tries to do it themselves. And it's all filmed in this very like gritty black and white, and it's very like creepy and weird, and it makes you so uncomfortable. There's some real kicker moments. The director's cut is worth watching because it has that extra that is just so good. So although gory stuff isn't my particular brand, like that Saw and Human Centipede, I'm not as much into now, I still think there's some really good elements in Human Centipede too. A couple of older films that deserve a shout out. I don't generally love them, honestly. I just think, but that's in general with all older films, because I'm just distracted by the poor quality. I know it sounds dumb and it you know, I should probably make more of an effort, but I don't enjoy them as much. But 2 horror films that are older that I have really enjoyed. Number 1, The Exorcist. The original 1976 version is impeccable. I read the book and then I watched the film and I thought that it was just wow. Like, the music's good, the way it's all set up, like, it's got some really intense, some really killer stuff. It's really good. And The Shining, of course. Shining's just, it's a more like a classic good film, but obviously it's kind of a horror film. Side note, I am not mentioning any possession movies, I'm just realising, and I do like quite a lot, but I don't remember them by name, which is what happens to me a lot of the time. But The Exorcism of Emily Rose, very good. I enjoyed that one. And others in similar vein. I like that premise a lot. Like, I just think anything like religious I find really interesting because it's like this like belief that people have that it's like being channeled into something, and it's wow, I find it really interesting. And finally, I'd like to give honourable mention to a couple of films that I probably wouldn't say are horror films, but have like more of a suspense thriller side of things, but that is the part of horror that I like more, like the psychological tension. So I'm going to talk about one of my favourite films of all time in any genre. We need to talk about Kevin. I think that film is so good. The way it's filmed, the way it uses like colours and angles and just everything is just very beautiful, but at the same time extremely creepy. I think it is a horror film personally, because it does have like some of the common traits of horror films, but I think anybody could enjoy We Need to Talk About Kevin. Another one, which is on Netflix and is absolutely amazing, it's one of my latest favourites, is The Invitation. Again, not a classic horror film, but well, I suppose it has horror in it, I guess. But loads of suspense, weird human interactions, weird dynamics, unease, and yeah, really, really good. Now I really want to watch it. I'm gonna have to go watch it straight after this. And lastly, a film I saw at the cinema, which is very rare for me with horror films, because by the way, I'm a massive scaredy cat, can only watch horror films in the daylight with people, or, you know, the cinema is not the place for me to go watch horror films. But Don't Breathe seemed a bit more of a thriller. It is kind of a bit more. It's about a group of kids who are breaking into someone's house and that person is blind. So it's all about the sound, and it is done so well. Oh my gosh, so well. So that's it. I hope that is enough. I honestly started writing films down and I couldn't stop. So I hope that this video wasn't too long for you. There's tons of recommendations in there. About half of them are on Netflix. I'm gonna chuck them down below, and you can have a very happy Halloween watching horror films and eating popcorn and wearing cat ears, which aren't really scary, but I think it's a black cat, so it's scary? I don't know. That's what I'm going for. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you tomorrow.